is formed. It's been a rather bruising weekend for one or two of the teams, with a few cars having been knocked out of contention with incidents across the previous two races, both of which have ended up with a red flag to bring the action to an early stoppage. But very shortly, the cars are going to be released then, and this formation lap underway. All of these cars the same. 2-litre Ford Duratec engines, full race specification, Avon slick tyres, and the man on pole position for the third race of the weekend is Lewis Thompson, with Stephen Lyle with him at the front of the grid. Gordon Sawyer lining up for third, ahead of then Paul Duncan and Jake Swan in the family run car next on the grid, with the cars, I think, about to be released. Yes, green flag is waved. It's a 20-minute race, and we haven't actually got to the full 20 minutes in either of the previous two, sadly, because of incidents, and that means that it's a somewhat smaller grid as well going into the third race of the weekend. So everybody sets off now, blasting away, ready to get some temperature into the tyres. Lewis Thompson declared the race winner from race 2, incidentally. If you saw any of that, that's how he's ended up on pole position. I'll come to that in a moment once we've looked at the full grid, which is Lewis Thompson on pole, Stephen Lyle second, Gordon Sawyer third ahead of Paul Donkin, and then Jake Swan with Mike Evans sixth. Seventh on the grid, Carl Jones ahead of Aaron Head, Gary Curtis ninth with Sean Byrne ahead of Oliver Smith, and then Angus McLean at the very back. Angus McLean there in the blue car, and the green one of Sean Byrne. They tangled in the earlier race, and that brought out a safety car, but it was such a long recovery operation that the race was red flagged and then restarted, and as a result of that, so the cars had a resumption, but then a further incident triggered a red flag. Now, there was a 5-second penalty given to Aaron Head in the earlier race, and hence he lost the win. That's why he finds himself a little bit further down the order on this grid. It was for a contravention of the International Sporting Code for Aaron Head, and the 5-second penalty cost him places. He drove at an erratic speed, according to the stewards. The stewards heard from the driver, saw onboard video, and the erratic driving was what contravened the regulation, gave him the 5-second penalty, and gave Lewis Thompson a win. So that now for Lewis is 9 victories, 1 for Stephen Lyle and 1 for Aaron Head. Because the cars were pretty tightly bunched at the time of the stoppage, the 5 seconds being added to his time made quite a big difference to Aaron. So triple champion, not very happy about it, understandably, but he has to try and fight back as best he can in this final race of the weekend, for which the cars now are coming up towards the grid. And at the front of it is then Lewis Thompson, the DW run car. So to the grid they come. So Jake Swan's number 66 family run car. Jake, who has done offshore powerboating with great success, specialises in selling houseboats offshore, or afloat living if you prefer, and a very rapid driver. Got a couple of second places at Alton Park at the start of the season. So the Swan family run car, and into position they come. So there, Marshall stops everybody. 20 minutes on the clock, and with a lap time at round about 2 minutes. Let's see how we fare this time. Fingers crossed they get through unscathed. As race underway, Lewis Thompson blasts away from pole position, tries to move across on Stephen Lyle, who's got the inside line there, heading down towards turn 1, and as they break for the corner, it is going to be Thompson who swoops through in the lead. Aaron Head in the black car with the orange roll cage, one to watch as he goes through on the inside line. So Aaron Head, who thought he'd done the double but hasn't, he's had a win and ultimately an 8th place, finds himself now with work to do. But with the slipstream effect of these cars, he should be able to do some of it, I would have thought, as they come up now out of turn 4. 12 of them we have in this because of earlier dramas taking battered cars out of contention. And into turn 5, Lewis Thompson, the race leader. He has won the 310 Championship 2 years ago. Didn't do a full season last year in this, but he still took a massive win rate and has come back ready for the championship and has rather dominated the first part of it. He had 7 wins in a row. Only when they got to Zandvoort did Stephen Lyle break the trend and had a win. And then Lewis won the final race at Zandvoort, which was a carryover from Alton Park. Aaron Head winning the race yesterday that was red flagged, and then on the road 41 earlier on, but it was a win that went the way of Lewis Thompson. So yet another victory going his ways. The cars then now come down towards turn 10. 18, Sean Byrne, who got involved in the earlier tangle that stopped the race in race 2 earlier on today, but he's going quite nicely. He was there or thereabouts yesterday before the race got red flagged. He never really got a chance to make a proper push, but here he's pressing on as the cars come up towards turn 14 out of Sagres. There is number 1, Aaron Head, then, as he accelerates downhill. And then the speed builds all the way through this next fast right-hander. Paul Duncan in the red car ahead of Gordon Sawyer there, in the yellow and black livery. Jake Swan with the white and blue cage, and got the car, or grey and the blue cage, comes up behind him and he goes to the inside line. Number 1, Aaron Head. Now you see how the toe works and also how drivers weave around to try to break it so you're not giving that slipstream effect to the car behind. So Aaron Head is up into 4th place from 8th on the grid and make that almost 3rd on the outside line down to turn 1. Donkin versus Swan. That's been a battle really that's gone on all weekend, and it's still hard at it now as the 2 cars come up towards the right at turn 3 and a spin for Gordon Sawyer. That was all self-induced, a little bit too much speed carried, turned the car in, lost the back of it. Thankfully nobody collects him and he gets away with it unscathed. Place is lost, but he carries on in the race. Meantime, downhill comes then the battle for the race lead, and there Sean Byrne in the all-green car at the inside line goes through, puts the move there on Carl Jones, runs him out wide, and Sean Byrne will just be ahead as they get up to turn 6 then on that inside line. So he's done it, he's made the move, he's gone through, and Sean Byrne then up 1 further place. So through he turns as then the race leaders on lap number 2 try and stretch the margin just a little bit now. It is 0.6 of a second, the advantage that Thompson had at the start of the lap. And there, Lyle right up behind him as the cars come through turn 10. So Stephen Lyle determined not to let Lewis Thompson get away. He knows the importance of benefiting and staying in touch for the toe. That's what he's trying to do right now as they head again up towards the turn 13 left-hander. That's the scene of the McLean-Byrne tangle earlier on in the day. Now accelerate out of there and down through 14 and 15 through Sagres, and then on towards the completion of another lap here. So through they turn, and the top 2 actually getting away a little bit, which you don't often see in Caterham racing. Normally they hunt in a pack, but oddly, for the first couple of laps of this race, gaps have opened up a touch between the 2 groups, if you like, the lead pair, and they're hard at it side by side. And then Aaron Head with Paul Donkin behind him, the best of the rest, as they come over the timing line now, down towards turn 1. Through that right-hander, new race leader is Stephen Lyle then. So Zandvoort winner goes through up on the inside, puts himself ahead of Lewis Thompson, and then goes a little bit deep at 4, runs it up wide onto the curb. Lewis Thompson will be aware of all of that, try to strike if he can as they come over the brow. Very wide goes Jake Swan there. Recovers, gets himself back on circuit, down towards the turn 5 hairpin. Clock ticking on down, of course, 20 minutes. Leader will take the flag the first time, crosses the line after those 20 minutes have elapsed, and heading up the hill at number 93 there, Mike Evans on the back of Sean Byrne, looking for a place as they accelerate again up towards turn 7 here. So Aaron Head, the one to watch possibly now to see what he can do about the 2 ahead of him. He's 1.5 seconds back, but the triple champion, ordinarily you would anticipate to be able to bring that gap down. So as there are the 2 race leaders, they really need to stop squabbling and, if they can, work together. Otherwise, Head is going to be up with them before much longer. So Lewis Thompson comes towards turn 11. Through that right-hander, drops it downhill. Behind them is Aaron Head, who in the first sector was quicker, and in the second sector was quicker, so he's almost there, and he's dragging along Paul Donkin and Jake Swan for good company here. So instead of it being a pair and then a trio, it could be 5 in a line for the race lead come the end of the lap. Aaron Head knows exactly how to win in Caterham racing, and he comes up now through turn 15. bump in the middle of the corner, just enough to unsettle the cars. Paul Duncan leads the AM class and is right up with the Pro-Ams, you can see, fending off Jake Swan in the background there. We've got the battle between Mike Evans and Sean Byrne, and it's Evans on the inside of the grey car. Back into the lead goes Lewis Thompson, but then Stephen Lyle stays in the wheel tracks, but doesn't this time make a dive. Of course, quite a lot of the overtaking is done, if you like, the wrong side of the timing line, so drivers can't rely on this part of the pit straight on the last lap because they'd have taken the flag. Thompson is up front, and actually after the red flags in the earlier two races, it has rather proved the importance of leading over the line. Sean Byrne ahead of Carl Jones, ahead of Mike Evans. Three-way battle going on here for 6th, for 7th, for 8th places. So through they turn, down now towards the hairpin at turn 5. Thompson just about in control, but Aaron Head then inching up onto the back. Stephen Lyle, last time around, did the fastest lap of the race, but now as the cars head up towards turn 8 once more, Aaron Head is right there and he's benefiting from the tow all the time then. So with 13 minutes still to run, the race leaders make the run over the brow, head to the inside of Lyle, but Stephen's going to be able to fend him off there, as you'd have thought. Lewis Thompson still under huge attack, not able to get away. Lyle looks to the inside, Thompson defends, goes for the line coming into turn 10. And Lyle now is in this really invidious position. He's trying to attack, he's trying to defend. Thompson is the target, but he's also got Aaron Head looking for a way past as the cars now head yet again up to turn 13. Lap 4 here at Portimao. Through the corner, and now as they accelerate up to Sagres through that right-hander, Lewis Thompson hoping that Lyle gets a little bit delayed, defending from Aaron Head, but Aaron, I suspect, is going to line this up for a double tow coming over the line. He'll get the draft off one, he'll get the draft off another, and probably will be in the lead at turn 1. Let's see whether it works out that way. Here he comes, then he's absolutely in the wheel tracks of Lyle as they come up towards the timing line, and yep, as Lyle goes for the lead, Head gets up the inside of both of them, and then it's a drag race to the first corner. Thompson, though, gives it up early, gets back into the draft, and that gives him the speed to then attack Head on the outside line, so he's attacking rather than being under attack. Aaron Head is going to lead going into turn 1, and Thompson 2 back and 1 up, all in the space of a straight. Now the inside line for turn 2, but no, Aaron Head moves across. Aaron, I think, has got rather fed up of Lewis Thompson being the talk of the season. It's been an outstanding effort from the DW Motorsport driver, but Aaron Head leads the way now as he heads uphill yet again. Through he returns, and Lewis Thompson tucked up behind him as the cars run again down to turn 5. Aaron Head in the DPR Motorsport car leads the way. Round the outside for second goes Stephen Lyle, and Paul Duncan is almost up with them as well now, number 24. Another of the DPR fleet, side by side for second. Look, Lyle's going to have the outside for 6th, but the inside line for this corner now, but he can't go through. Lewis Thompson able to move across and defend that line. So he hangs onto the place as the cars now climb the hill up towards turn 9 over that brow, but then you've got another climb up towards turn 10, and as they slingshot through that on towards the turn 10 into turn 11 tightening corner, through will come then the triple champion Aaron Head, still in the lead, but is he going to be able to fend off this relentless challenge of Lewis Thompson for much longer? Next in the queue is then the car of Stephen Lyle, and Paul Duncan has managed to shake off now everybody else. Jake Swan, who's been with him for not just most of the race, but most of the weekend, it feels like, has dropped away. So Paul Duncan, the leading am, almost on the back of Lyle. But strangely, after what we've had in the earlier races, the packs opened up quite markedly, quite early on in this race, as they head up almost now to the halfway point. Through they come. So the leaders go by. And side by side, almost for the lead. Lyle on the inside of Thompson, and now Duncan tries to make it 3 wide. He's got 3rd, he's got 2nd, he's got the lead out of absolutely nowhere. Mega tow. Paul Duncan goes through, goes a little bit wide, and that opens up the door for Aaron Head to pounce back on the inside line. So all of these 4 have had a turn in the lead, and that's the first time this weekend that Paul Duncan has been higher than 4th, I think, and he was not only 4th at the start of that move, he was the leader by the end of it. So a mega bit of driving it was. Again, illustrates what the slipstream can do. Portimao is almost the perfect circuit for Caterhams, I think, now. These 20-minute races rather than half an hour, putting a little bit more importance in the moves, a bit more urgency in the driving. So out of turn 5 comes Aaron Head back into the race lead. But Paul Duncan now, if you like, the spoiler in the pack. Let's see what he's going to be capable of doing. or whether he gets mugged again by those two behind and falls back, because, as I say, he's not been this high up the order over the rest of the weekend. He presses on as he comes up now through turn 8, over the brow. Behind, you've got then the 4th placed Lewis Thompson, just dropping away a little bit. Now, has he, if you like, shot his bolt a bit too soon? He was very much involved in the lead battle earlier, but the winner of race 2 comes downhill, still pushing on, looking to try to get himself into the mix. Aaron Head leads the way. Paul Duncan second, looking for a best of the weekend. And there the red car runs second. It would be a best of the season. He's had a third at Zandvoort. He's had a third at Croft as well. But a second would be a great result if he can hang on to it, Paul Duncan. And look, Aaron Head now is getting away. Duncan doesn't seem to have the speed to stay with him. And so that's going to mean that Lyle and Thompson have got a lot of work to do now to get past him and then catch up to Head. 8 minutes and change on the clock. Through they come. The toe is afforded this time to Lyle and Thompson, who go either side of Duncan, and they might just be able to scrabble back into the draft of Aaron Head as they come down towards turn 1. They are doing so, so the lead gap comes down. Thompson to the inside of Lyle. 4th he was, 2nd he is. Head still leads, and it's Duncan that loses out. He gets shuffled to the back of the pack this time around, down to 4th place. So Aaron Head leading then as he comes up through turn 3. Champions both then, Head and Thompson, 1st and 2nd, in different classes, admittedly, in the 7 UK or equivalent, Aaron Head, and in the 310s, the slightly less powerful cars last 2 years ago, rather, Lewis Thompson, and he's under attack again from Stephen Lyle, who goes all the way around on the outside line there, out of the corner, back onto the loud pedal, and almost making contact then as it gets a little bit more rowdy now, late race, 7.5 minutes on the clock. And it's when you head to the last 5, in a way, that the moves become of greater importance. That's when, with little time after that, you've got to really make the move stick. You can't afford to play and just be part of that leading group. And right now, these two need to be mindful that they don't let Head get too far away. The toe brought them back into the mix last time, 0.4 of a second over the line, but it stretched again on the lap. Gordon Sawyer, by the way, after his earlier spin, 8th. He's just got himself back up ahead of Angus McLean, who crashed out of race 2. Sean Byrne, who I was expecting great things from, has dropped a lap down, number 18, in that repaired car, but maybe still with legacy of the earlier damage. So the leaders then, out of turn 13, make the move now downhill. So Thompson, Lewis Thompson, championship leader, closing again onto the back of Lyle, but those two need a mega helping hand from the toe of Aaron Head's car, because again on that run to the line, it looks as though he's pulled away. Here they come, up past the pits. Head goes from one side to the other to try to shake off the toe that he's giving to the pack behind. And it does to the eye look like a big gap again. 3 of them, side by side. Lyle, Thompson, Duncan behind him. The lead gap 9/10 of a second. Has Aaron Head been able to break away now? Comes down towards turn 1. Still they scrap. Duncan up, Duncan down as Thompson is back through on the inside line. But as they squabble, so Head is being able to drive absolutely flat out and maintain the gap, build the gap even over 2nd, 3rd and 4th behind him. Driving standards flag for Mike Evans in number 93. He got a penalty for track limit abuses in the first race of the weekend. So as the cars now come down towards turn 5, big squeal of tyres. That is Mike Evans there, number 93 on the inside line. Scrabbles through, up alongside Angus McLean, and then slots back in behind him, behind the pair, Carl Jones, who is, at the moment, unable to make much progress. Fair play to Angus McLean, because he has got a car rebuilt after damage sustained in race 2, and getting on with the job, pushing on and trying to maximise as much out of this last race as he possibly can. There is Sean Byrne then, who has possibly got a transponder problem, because having said he dropped a lap, he's been put back into 7th place, so it might be a transponder glitch on Sean Byrne's car. There he is on the tail of Gordon Sawyer, who's now gone ahead of him, in fact, so a bit of yo-yoing up and down the order for those two. So Aaron Head leading the way into the last 5 minutes. Now it gets serious now, as far as pushing for a position is concerned. Little weave from one side to the other to try and get out of the toe, as it were, to make that slipstream break for the car behind. Up towards the line comes then Aaron Head. Up to the pit wall, out to the far reaches of the road, up to the pit wall. Behind him is Lyle, and the margin is 9/10 of a second. Behind Lyle is Thompson, behind Thompson is Duncan, and you can see the car suddenly dart because the closing speed almost catches out the driver. Suddenly the tow carries them along much, much quicker than they were anticipating, and they have to suddenly jink. And that shuffles the order again. Duncan goes ahead of Lyle. Thompson is up into second place and closing on Aaron Head this time. Duncan makes the run over the brow. He's put himself ahead of Stephen Lyle, so can he hang on to third place? Well, he's not done yet, actually. He wants second away from Lewis Thompson, but Thompson still has aspirations of being a race winner here as they come up through turn 5. Back onto the power, up now towards turn 7. That's the right-hander, and Thompson chipping away as best he can, but every time he tries to concentrate on the leader, suddenly behind him, either Duncan and or Lyle try to make a move against him. This is what we're saying earlier on. They need to try to work together, stay as one. So up towards the line they come, and they're the race leaders heading up towards the timing line at the end of this 9th lap, but the order as it is at 13 may not be anything like the order as it is at the end of the lap, with 3 minutes on the clock. So up towards the line comes Aaron Head, still ahead of Thompson, still ahead of Lyle and Duncan. That leading battle pack comes through. So to the line comes Aaron Head, 9/10 of a second last time. I think he's pretty much done this, hasn't he? 2.5 minutes to go, 2 laps to go therefore, as they come through and over the line. 11/10, that's the biggest lead gap I think we've had all weekend. Duncan up into second place. It does close at the end of the pit straight where the slipstream enables drivers to close back up again, but not by enough. Swan versus Sawyer, and a change there. Jake Swan goes back ahead, but Gordon Sawyer then back on the inside line, retakes the place. All of that's for 5th, and he's gone through. So the race leaders currently on lap 10, and Aaron Head leading by 1.165 seconds at the start of this lap. Sawyer versus Swan. Gordon Sawyer locks up and gets sideways. Byrne locks up and just gets away with it. And Angus McLean watches it all unfold, thinking, oh, why did none of you go off and give me a place? But he's still there in 8th spot as they climb the hill. Gordon Sawyer, good recovery, that, despite the fact that he had the spin earlier on. Good car control there. And the field now accelerating through once more with Duncan in second place, but you can see the gap that's opened up here. Aaron Head, absolutely no hanging about. He's not for playing in this race. Pretty miffed, no doubt, of losing that earlier win. So he's built up as big a gap as he can early on in the race. Driving standards flag for track limit abuses for Sean Byrne. And the leaders head towards turn 13 then, with now less than a lap time left in the race. So they're going to start the last lap this time around. And Aaron Head it will be who comes through to start the last lap, but a 5-second penalty, just as in race 1, for Mike Evans for exceeding track limits. So it's not been a great weekend for Mike, and it's not getting any better because 5 seconds will drop him even further down from the 9th he currently occupies. So Aaron Head onto the last lap, comes over the line. Looks pretty good for him, this, especially as, again, look, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th fight delays those involved. 1.4 seconds now is the margin. And it's going to be Stephen Lyle up into second place. For 3rd, it's Paul Duncan. And there, Sawyer and Swan together as they go over the line. McLean and Byrne are side by side as well. But Aaron Head has proved how you can win in a Caterham race. This is sort of reminiscent in a sense of the great Barry Horn drive a long, long time ago at Brands Hatch, when he checked out early on and everybody else squabbled behind him and consistently built the gap. And that's what Aaron Head has done over these last 3 laps. So rather than try and play, he's built the gap, benefited by everybody else squabbling, and all of the experience. 3 times a Caterham champion at this level, Aaron Head has used it to good effect, pulled well clear, whereas Lyle, Thompson and Duncan have been left squabbling for the crumbs in second place. That's not resolved yet, granted, but Aaron Head looks as though win number 2 of the weekend is going to go his way. A few hours later than he thought he was having a second win, but this one seemingly no argument about it. So it's been a rather dominant display as he makes the run now up towards turn 13 on the rev limiter there as he blasts his way uphill. So Head comes through the DPR Motorsport entry, one of the fleet of cars that DPR runs, and successfully so as well. Aaron Head, who's been a stalwart Caterham racer for many, many seasons with great success, then heads towards win number 2 of the weekend, win number 2 of the season. Second place is the rather more intriguing one, though. Who is it going to be who hangs on to position then as the cars come towards the turn 14 right-hander? It is Lyle ahead of Thompson at the moment. Duncan is next in the queue, and as they accelerate towards the line, so it's going to be a win for this man, for Aaron Head. That's the easy bit. For second, third and fourth, it's going to be a drag race to the line then. Up towards the line, they now come. Aaron Head wins for the second time this weekend here at Portimao. Second is going to be Lyle and Duncan for third as they come across the line virtually as one. But a very, very good drive by all of them. Next, it's going to be for fifth place, Gordon Sawyer. No, Jake Swan has done him on the run to the line. So Jake Swan is fifth, sixth, Gordon Sawyer, seventh to Angus McLean in his car that was damaged earlier on in the day. And then behind him will be Sean Byrne and the penalised Mike Evans. So well done to Aaron Head. He is the man that takes honours then in the final race of the weekend, and the first one to go the distance for the Caterham 7 UK Championship. And an incident involving Mike Evans and Carl Jones, who has pitted, is going to be investigated after the race. So Aaron Head it is who takes race honours from Stephen Lyle and Paul Duncan in third place. So the one race that went the distance, but in a sense, a shame that Aaron Head was able to break away. Well done to him for doing so, but not necessarily what was anticipated in a Caterham race, given how close it had been for the rest of the weekend. Well done to Paul Duncan, and winner again. And he'll have something to celebrate also post-race. So there is the very happy race winner, Aaron Head, making his way round to the pit lane. Let's have a look at the results then. It was a win for Aaron Head from Stephen Lyle. Paul Duncan third ahead of Lewis Thompson. Then Jake Swan and Gordon Sawyer to round out the top 6 ahead of Angus McLean and Sean Byrne. Mike Evans 9th and Carl Jones with then Oliver Smith and Gary Curtis classified 11th and 12th. Aaron Head's second win of the season, and Lewis Thompson maintaining his advantage at the top of the championship standings. So Aaron Head, our race winner. In the end, that winning margin by 3 seconds. Great job done by Aaron. And 3 races, 2 wins for him, 1 for Lewis Thompson. From Portimao, from David Addison, thanks for your company. It's goodbye.